What's going on, gamers? It's Village here from Beneath the Veil, and welcome back to the channel. If you're like me and seeing the grand final of the Bali Major has got you wanting to play again, this video is super important to watch. In today's video, we're going to discuss an important topic: how to avoid toxicity in Dota 2. Toxicity ruins the gaming experience for everyone involved, so I'm here to share some tips on promoting a positive and enjoyable environment for you and your allies. So tip number 1 is to lead by example. Your behavior sets the tone for the game. Welcome your team into the game when you load in and actively seek out to be a positive impact by coordinating drafting choices with your lane mate. Be respectful, supportive, and encouraging towards your teammates, and show sportsmanship even in challenging situations. Remember, positivity is contagious, and amplifying your positivity often has a knock-on effect, which makes the whole team play better. If you're someone like me, who sometimes feels the need to vent frustrations in order to reset mentally, train yourself to do so privately rather than over team chat or voice comms. This way, your only communication directly with the team is net positive, which leads to higher odds of converting hard games into victories. Effective communication is key to avoiding toxicity. Tip number 2 is to communicate clearly and constructively. Use voice chat and text chat to provide helpful information, coordinate strategies, and offer praise for good plays. Avoid insults, blame, backseating, and unnecessary arguments. If things aren't going well, and mistakes are being made as they often do, avoid communication based on hindsight, and instead use language based on the future. For example, instead of saying, "Damn, you should have waited for my stun first," say something like, "That was close. Next time, can we try initiating with my stun, and then you can chain yours after? I think we can convert the kill if we try it that way." You might not always get the cooperation and coordination you're looking for, but you're far more likely to build a sense of camaraderie and team cohesion than if you start assigning blame. Tip number 3 is to utilize ping wheels and chat wheels. Dota 2 provides a variety of quick communication tools. We've covered most of these in previous videos on the channel, but it's always a good thing to remind players of. Use pings to alert your team about objectives, potential ganks, and danger. You can also use pings to give context to what you're trying to communicate, if you're talking about positioning and such. The chat wheel has preset phrases for communication, such as "well played" and "get back," amongst other things. These tools minimize the need for typing and can reduce misunderstandings. For those who don't know, these set phrases auto-translate to the base language of all players, so if you're playing in regions where you have players who don't speak the same language as you, this part of the UI can be really helpful in coordinating your team. To avoid toxicity, it's important to focus on self-improvement. Tip number 4 is to prioritize your own gameplay and learning. Instead of doing what most of us would like to do and blaming others for mistakes or losses, reflect on your own performance and identify areas for improvement. Adopting a growth mindset helps you stay positive and motivated. There's an old adage of the 80-20 rule, and that 80% of games are a foregone conclusion, and that you're going to win half and lose half of them, no matter how well or poorly you play, due to something outside of your control. Whether that be a smurf on your team or the enemy team, or whether that be a griefer on your team or the enemy team. It's really only 20% of games that are close enough where having proper communication and coordination will decide whether or not your team wins or loses. Keep this in mind when playing games and endeavor to improve at some aspect of your game every time you land in a lobby, regardless of the end result. Keep in mind, a realistic climbing win rate is usually only somewhere between 50.1 to 55%, unless you're massively misplaced in the rank system. Remember that, and let the losses roll off of your back. They're all a part of the process, and usually your losses are games where you have the most to learn personally from. Despite your best efforts, you will inevitably encounter toxic players. Tip number 5 is to disarm toxic players and mitigate their ability to affect your game as much as possible. If someone is being excessively negative or abusive, don't hesitate to mute them, even if sometimes they bring valuable information. More often than not, their barrage of negativity actually massively offsets their valuable information in terms of impact on your game. Focusing on the game without their distractions will help maintain your own positive mindset. Even in immortal level pubs, there are players who will instantly mute everyone in the lobby so they can fully focus on their own game. Don't hesitate to form the same habit if you feel it's what you need. For those who don't know, you can also disable help through navigating to the scoreboard. You go over here, and then navigating down here to your show shared unit control options. Deselecting help from the row of the toxic player will mean that if they have any items that they could use to grief you, like force staff, they can no longer use them on you. This also works for the vast majority of abilities with very few exceptions, such as Pudge's Hook or Tiny's Toss. So you need to be aware that this might not be the cure-all to all situations, but it can heavily help. Tip number 6 is to form a stack or join a positive community. Playing with friends or like-minded individuals can greatly reduce toxicity. Coordinate with friends and create a stack to ensure a more enjoyable gaming experience. Additionally, consider joining communities that prioritize positive interactions and good teamwork. I met a couple of the guys who helped with this channel through a random pub match a couple of years ago, and we still stack regularly now as well as play other games outside of Dota. Whenever you come across players you enjoy playing with and coordinate well with, as well as if you just vibe with them, don't hesitate to ask them if they'd like to stack with you. More often than not, they'll say yes, or they'll say maybe not right now, but they'll add you on your friends list and you can play later. And that's one less slot on your team for a potentially toxic ally. It's one of the best ways to climb and keep your spirits high in the process, plus it breaks all of us introverted gamers out of our usual habits. If this in particular is something that you're struggling with, please let us know in the comments below if you'd like us to start a Discord server. It's something that we've had asked in the past, but we're kind of waiting until the point where there's enough demand for it to happen. Lastly, remember to take breaks and practice self-care. Dota 2 can be intense, and it's essential to prioritize your well-being. If you're feeling tired, burned out, frustrated, or overwhelmed by the game in general, take a break, engage in other activities, and return to the game when you're in a more positive mindset. The best growth usually happens when you only play 2 to 4 ranked games in one sitting. I included this as a last tip because it's something that I've personally had to do in the last couple of weeks because I just wasn't enjoying my games anymore. If you're like me, you enjoy the sweat of competitive play and it scratches the itch of constant self-improvement, but not seeing that translate into a trending upwards win rate in the short term can be really brutal to your own mental health. There's no shame in stepping back from the game for a while and playing other games for a bit to reset before returning. Protecting your own mental health should be treated as a priority, so make sure to take care of yourself first. That's all for this video. By following these tips, you can help create a positive and enjoyable environment for Dota 2, and make your own games far more enjoyable to grind out. If you found this video helpful, and you enjoy this new style of video that I'm trying, please consider leaving us a like and subscribing to the channel, as well as leaving a comment below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.